Now this one really is a step up gift bag because it's got that multi-dimension and that kind of faceted look about it. It looks really complicated, but as with any of these scoring projects, once you know the measurements, they're dead easy to do. I'm going to use the big score for this one because we're doing scoring measurements right up to 10 inches. What I'm going to do is take a piece of card, and you first of all need to cut your cardstock to 10.5 inches landscape by 9.5 portrait. So we're going right up to 10.5 inches, giving it a trim by 9.5 the other way. Once it's on your big score, you need to make sure you pop it on the side that's 10.5 wide. So I can see here we're right up to the 10.5 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my medium head scoring tool because it's quite thin paper this, so I don't want to crack the paper, but I also want to score quite gently and the measurement's less important. So first of all, where we've got our cardstock at 10.5 inches, you're going to put the score line in at 5 inches and then again at 10 inches. So 5 and 10. Then you turn it round the other way where it's 9.5 wide, and we're going to pop a score line down at 1.5 inches. I'm going to turn it right round to the other side and pop a score line in at 2.5 inches. Okay. Now, in these top two panels, because this is going to be our gluing flap here, so we're 10 inches wide. So in these top two panels, if I take the gluing flap to the edge, I want to score up at the halfway point, so it's 5 inches. We're going to put the score line in at 2.5, which would be the halfway, and then again at 7.5, which would be the halfway at this point. Okay. Now that is our scoring done for the time being. What I want you to do is I want you to cut up the centre of each of these score lines. So you should have 4 equal sized 2.5 inch panels at the bottom, and then this last one we cut up, but you're going to also cut that little bit off at the edge, and then the same here, we're going to cut this little piece off at the edge that we don't need. Now fold and burnish all of your crease lines. When we're burnishing, that's taking the side of the tool and giving it a little bit of a crease like this. And then I'm going to fold over this bottom piece, give that a burnish, and also the top piece. Now, what we need to do next is we actually need to put some diagonal V scores in to the centre point here. Now, at this point, you might have noticed quite often on one of your scoreboards, you'll see us run a black line up one of the middle scores. Now, you'll understand why that's really important now, because what I want to do is I want to join the middle point here. So I'm going to line that up on that black score line, and I want to take it to the edge here. So by having that black score line, I'm lining up where I can see the end with seeing this piece here, okay? And then I take my scoring tool into that point. I'm going to twist this round, line up this part and bring it up to the edge here. Once we're here, turning that around again to line up with that score line, taking it down, and then the last one, we're bringing that straight up. So that gives me those 2 V's that you can see in the front there. We need to put a little score line, little cut line in there as well. And then I'm going to fold and burnish all of these crease lines. Now sometimes it's adequate to burnish just using the side of your finger like this, but you'll notice I've got no cracking at all on my cardstock, and that's because I'm being nice and gentle with how we pop all of this together. Now, remember my big tip, tape to tape is always the best way to glue. So I'm going to put tape on the glue flap here, and I'm going to pop tape down here, this side there, so that when I stick those two together, we get a really good glue. And you can see it's falling into place of its own accord here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold one flap in, and then I'm going to pop tacky glue. And tacky glue is great because it's nice and strong, but it also gives you that maneuverability as I move the second one into place, and then we pop the tacky glue on there, pop the third one into place, and then our last panel here, we take glue all over the edge, and that will fold them into place as well, okay? And it's probably worth getting in and just giving that a nice bit of a press down right at the bottom so that we can make sure that it's all in place nicely. And then again, if you just want to seal this close at the edge, I like to just do a couple of little holes through. I put my score line at 1 inch. You don't need to do 1 inch. If you wanted a smaller section on top, you could easily do that. And we're just going to go through one edge. And there we go. I told you that type of box was really easy to do. Super.